Here's Brody Brazil.
If you really want to understand this current story and what's going on, you also very much need to comprehend the backstory, all the big and little things that happened over time that got us to this point. I'll try and be quick and efficient in spelling this out. Let's go back to June. And the A's got one of their biggest pieces of momentum in terms of a potential relocation to Las Vegas. But all of this happened up north at the state's capital in Carson City. That's where SB 1 was passed. Senate Bill 1 was voted on by the state assembly and the state senate, and it spells out $380 million of public funding to go towards an A's new stadium at the current site of the Tropicana Hotel. Now that you know that, you can better understand this. A lawsuit from A's Stadium supporters seeking to block Union's Nevada ballot measure. Two labor leaders filed the challenge, alleging that the petition's description is deficient and inaccurate, among other claims. This piece coming to us from the Nevada Independent. Tabitha and Howard, again, I can't praise them enough. Their work throughout this entire process has been phenomenal. And let me also say, normally, I summarize these articles, I add in my own interpretation, opinions, and insights, but quite honestly, this time around, I mostly want you to be aware of this story. And since Nevada legalities and politics are not exactly my cup of tea and specialty, I'm going to let Howard and Tabitha spell this out the best that they know how because, well, this is what they do. A lawsuit filed Tuesday by two longtime labor leaders is challenging the teacher union-led PAC, Political Action Committee, Schools Over Stadiums referendum petition to repeal public funding for a new Major League Baseball stadium in Las Vegas. Okay, Schools Over Stadiums, as they'll spell out here, they emerged as a group shortly after SB 1 passed. Teachers were not happy in the state of Nevada that all of the things that they wanted public money for in their education system, in their schools, a lot of things didn't get approved, but obviously this stadium did. The lawsuit was filed on behalf of Danny Thompson, the former head of the Nevada AFL-CIO, and Thomas Morley, a private consultant and the retired political director of Laborers Local 872 in the 1st District Court in Carson City, where all legal challenges to ballot questions are filed. It argues that Schools Over Stadiums petition, quote, does not include the full text of the proposal as required by the state's constitution, and alleges that the referendum petition description is inaccurate, misleading, and argumentative, and is therefore legally inadequate and does not meet the requirements of the Nevada law, end quote. Schools Over Stadiums was trying to get a referendum vote on the ballot for 2024 to basically repeal the $380 million of public money, which was approved with SB 1. We go on here to say that representatives from the Oakland A's deferred any comment on the lawsuit to the attorney working on the case, Bradley Schrager. Reached by phone Thursday, Schrager said he was representing, quote, a broad and emerging coalition of business and labor interests, end quote. SB 1 obviously passed with majorities in both houses, he said, referring to the bill that authorized public funding to help the A's construct a 33,000-seat ballpark on the Las Vegas Strip. Quote, it was approved by the governor, so it's no surprise that that support exists, end quote. Asked whether the A's are part of the coalition, he replied, quote, yes, of course, end quote. The PAC behind the ballot measure was launched in June by the Nevada State Education Association following the approval of SB 1, as I just spelled out earlier. Quote, suing educators trying to put schools first sets a terrible tone for an organization claiming to now care about our community, end quote. Alexander Marks of Schools Over Stadium said in the press release responding to the lawsuit. By the way, this was announced by Schools Over Stadiums that they were getting sued. They announced this on social media just the other day. Organized labor backed the A's when the bill was before the legislature. The Southern Nevada Building Trades has a project labor agreement with the A's for the construction of the ballpark, and the Culinary Workers Local 226 has an agreement with the team to organize workers at the stadium once it opens. The A's were also the title sponsor of the Nevada AFL-CIO convention in August at the Grand Sierra Resort in Reno. Representatives of Schools Over Stadiums filed the referendum petition in September, citing a need for public funding to go to public schools, quote, not to a California billionaire for a stadium, end quote. Marks said the organization will continue gathering signatures to attempt to qualify the petition for the ballot. They said in the press release that both plaintiffs are well-connected lobbyists who have close ties to the Las Vegas Stadium Authority, and said that the effort to repeal SB 1 has faced opposition from the beginning, and the latest lawsuit won't dampen their efforts. Quote, when we launched Schools Over Stadiums in June, an A's representative called to pressure me into abandoning our effort to refocus Nevada's misguided priorities, said Don Echeverry, an elementary music teacher and president of Schools Over Stadiums. Quote, educators will not be intimidated or bullied. Some in our community claim to support educators and schools, but when we advocate to prioritize public education, they say, no, not like that, end quote. However, the lawsuit argues that the petition contains information that is misleading and inaccurate, rendering it void. Quote, collectively, material omissions and misstatements render it impossible for a potential signatory to make an informed decision whether to sign the petition, Schrager, the attorney, wrote in the filing. To get an initiative or referendum on the ballot that proposes or repeals language for state law, a petitioner must obtain enough signatures to equate to at least 10% of the ballots cast in the previous general election, meaning that at least 102,586 signatures are needed to qualify for the measure. At least 25,647 signatures would need to come from each of the state's 4 congressional districts, right? So you can't just do it in Clark County. You can't just do it up north near Carson City. This has to be a statewide effort. And for the first time ever, we really truly understand how many signatures are necessary to get this on the ballot as a referendum vote. The petitioners must collect and submit signatures by July 8th, 2024. If a petition receives enough signatures and a simple majority of Nevadans vote in favor of the corresponding ballot question, it would pass and change state law. So the difficult thing seems to be getting the signatures. The other part about it is getting it on the ballot as a referendum vote. Once that happens, the point here is that it only needs one more than 50%. I should also spell this out. The timeline is such that Major League Baseball within the next 5 to 6 weeks or more, let's just say 4 to 8 weeks, 5 to 8 weeks, they're hoping to vote on approving relocation by the A's to Las Vegas. This, even with all the signatures, wouldn't actually go on the ballot until 2024. So this is an interesting situation where approval of public money is there, but approval is being challenged. And to be quite clear, the A's have talked about public money and what it means to the project, to the point that if there is this $380 million that goes away to any way, shape, or form, that their project can't really move forward. And quite honestly, it's a huge incentive of Major League Baseball to have public funding as part of a stadium project. They really like that as part of a project. So again, just wanted to point that out, keep everybody updated and informed about what's going on and what's playing out. And hopefully that just makes a little bit more sense. The Nevada Independent did a great job. You should check out their piece. I actually stopped reading it at a certain point. There's a little bit more to it, and you can always go back for their coverage on the latest information. Hey, you made it here to the end of this video. Thumbs up down below. I'd really appreciate that. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel so I can definitely see you back here next time.